Hey everyone, welcome to Broadband Deployment News. So Charter has won over $1 billion in RDOF funds, and they've just deployed their first site in El Paso, Texas. But they're still having some issues with pole attachments that they claim are impacting what they can do in other areas. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Hey there, Rick Uzzi from Zcorum. So as I mentioned, Charter, big winner in RDOF, so over $1 billion, and this is the type of company that, it's a huge company. A lot of the RDOF winners, they were rural areas, so a lot of them were the smaller telephone companies, co-ops, rural EMCs, but Charter jumped in there big to get funds, and they're trying to do that as quickly as possible, and they're running into some challenges, although they did just deploy, as I mentioned, their first site in El Paso. But I wanted to read a couple of stories here that kind of take you through the process, the fact that they've got this going now, but also some of the challenges that they have, and why that may be happening, at least in one particular case. So here you see Charter. This story came out. Charter walks 30,000 miles to prep poles for RDOF builds. So one of the things that they have to do, and everybody has to do if they're not, even if they are the owner of the utility poles, but you still have to go out there and do what's called make-ready work. You have to look at those poles and make sure that they're capable of handling the additional utility, the broadband on there, or if there's some other issues with the pole that need to be corrected or fixed before you can get broadband up and running. So here it says Charter Communications rolled out gigabit-capable broadband to more than 1,200 locations in El Paso, bringing online its first market supported by funding received in the RDOF auction. Been working furiously to prep additional markets across the 24-state area where it won support. So again, they were big winners and planning on doing this in 24 states. In December 2020, Charter won $1.2 billion to help deploy broadband to more than 1 million unserved locations. So again, the point of the whole RDOF thing was to go to unserved locations, which for RDOF was anything less than 25 by 3. So these were areas that were posted in the map by the FCC. Wasn't necessarily accurate, unfortunately, but a lot of money has been won, and the FCC is kind of slowly awarding these dollars as they try to make sure that these areas are still unserved, to make sure that the people that have bid are capable of doing what they said they were going to do. So there have been 5 rounds now where they've authorized people to receive funds. Charter is not one of them, interestingly enough, but they're going ahead and spending the money. Certainly they can qualify in many areas, including technical as well as financial. So you see here, this was to February 21 is when they won it, to partially offset a $5 billion expansion of its rural footprint. They unveiled a plan in February 21. Like many of the other top bidders in the auction, Charter has yet to receive its winnings from the FCC. So as I said, they're moving forward, even though they haven't been yet authorized or haven't given the ability to get this money yet. So Charter expects that 85% to 90% of its RDOF bills will be aerial, meaning that it has to secure pole attachment agreements with hundreds of different pole owners across the 24-state footprint. Getting those agreements requires doing walkouts to each pole. So again, they're having to do that make-ready work, or in this case, even just doing the walkouts to see what needs to be made ready. And then they have to get these pole attachment agreements, and then that work has to be done if that's something that was found that needed to be done. To date, Charter has walked out over 30,000 miles, about 25% of the total it will have to hit. So it says here that given their RDOF bills cover roughly 110,000 route miles, that's only 25%. Mott said on average it takes a good 6 months just to get a license to attach to a pole. Mott said such work is underway in all 24 states where Charter won RDOF support. He pointed out that RDOF winners are up against certain FCC coverage deadlines, which are measured by state. So you really have to be working in all states simultaneously, he said, to hit these appropriate targets. And they're using EPON fiber technology for its deployment. So Charter, normally being a traditional cable MSO, DOCSIS plant, cable plant kind of operator, they're doing this with EPON fiber, I'm assuming fiber to the home. It's offering service tiers ranging from 200 megabits per second to 1 gig for both consumers and small businesses and medium businesses. It's also offering a plan for low-income consumers, which provides 30 megabits per second for about $18 a month. So that was that first story I saw. And then I saw another one here from Light Reading that goes into a little bit more detail in a few places, and then again brings up this pole attachment issue. The initial service deployment is targeted for more than 1,230 homes and small businesses. Additional locations in rural El Paso County, Doña Ana County in the coming months. So they're looking at expanding outside of this general area where they're deploying today to add more homes. Pricing in RDOF areas is consistent with other spectrum markets. No modem fees, data caps, or contracts, which is nice. I mentioned the other day that more people are moving to that, rather than locking you into a long-term commitment and fees and maybe even equipment fees. They're kind of rolling that into the price. I think consumers like that better. Advanced home Wi-Fi service is an additional $5 per month, so that would give you the managed Wi-Fi service. So they probably bring in the Wi-Fi router, and if you have any issues or need it set up, they'll do that for you. And then generally it's also managed where they can go in and change passwords and help give support for that remotely, maybe see if you're having Wi-Fi issues in the home. There's probably they're probably capable of looking at seeing what the different radios are doing and those kinds of things. So that's a good service to have. Pole access issues persist. Abe Robinson, VP of Construction, leading Charter's Texas RDOF expansion, lauded El Paso area officials and El Paso Electric for enabling a prompt RDOF deployment, so no issues in El Paso, citing rapid access to poles and infrastructure for help navigating permitting procedures. The operator has lamented that RDOF bills in other areas could face delays in absence of reasonable timelines, terms, and conditions for pole access. Charter voiced those concerns in November of last year, citing a situation that arose with Warren Rural Electric Cooperative in Kentucky. Charter argued that Warren's move for a new pole attachments agreement could stretch the timeline of certain RDOF-related deployments by several years. In fact, they said it could go from 2 years to 14 years, if I recall. Charter again brought up the general issue this month in a video conference meeting with FCC Chairwoman Jessica Rosenworcel, telling her that the operator continues to experience significant pole delays as some pole owners seek to negotiate new agreements or refuse to process permits. They said, "We've had very few options when faced with such delays, as complaints and lawsuits are adjudicated too slowly," Charter noted in a meeting in which the operator urged the Commission to help pave the way for faster access to poles. Of note, the FCC issued a declaratory ruling on January 19th that utilities may require requesting attachers to pay the entire cost of the pole replacements that are not necessitated by the new attacher. So in other words, if the pole already needs to be replaced or has issues, then that's a different story. So how did it word it here? They may not require requesting attachers to pay. So it's just a matter of putting those lines up there, and the pole can support that. They can't be, if there's other issues with the pole, that they can't require that they pay for that. And then, but then I was wondering, well, why is this an issue with Warren? I thought maybe they got RDOF funds or they're doing something on their own. So I thought this was interesting. So this was back from August of 2020. Cooperatives working together to bring world-class high-speed internet to rural areas. NCTC, and this is not the National Cable Telephone Cooperative. This is not the association. This is a telephone cooperative in Kentucky. So NCTC and Kentucky-based Electric Cooperative Warren, RECC, is currently working on a pilot project that will bring high-speed internet to some rural Warren County regions. In a collaboration, Warren will lease dark fiber along their new fiber optic communications backbone to NCTC, who will offer up to a gigabit internet service across Warren's fiber to the home and to Warren RECC members in the pilot area. The project allows the two organizations to combine their resources and decades of experience to offer affordable, high-speed internet services in a new location and improve the quality of life for Warren RECC members. If the pilot is successful, the companies hope to expand their partnership. So this is a partnership between two companies. You'll see these public-private partnerships, or maybe this is a public partnership. I don't know about EMC. But you've got two companies. You got the EMC that's got some of the infrastructure and over an expansive area that they cover, and then you've got this local telephone co-op, and they're working together to be able to bring broadband. So that's a good thing. And the question is, is this the reason that they're slow walking Charter's applications? Because they have their own little partnership now that they want to be able to offer these broadband in these areas, and Charter's coming in, and that's a big company that could do things very quickly if they're allowed to do this. So, and then I was wondering, did they get RDOF funds? And I did find this article here where Warren, REC, and NCTC announced federal funding to expand broadband. Need to make this a lot bigger. Stand by here. Sorry. There we go. It's a little better. I can read that, and you probably can too. So Warren RECC and Tennessee-based telephone cooperative NCTC announced they will receive funding to assist the cost to expand rural broadband service through the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund. So they're getting RDOF here. I did look to see if I could find them on the companies that won money, and they're not on there, but I'm thinking that they are part of a rural electric consortium that I saw that is covering Kentucky. There are a couple of different places in Kentucky that have won funds through a couple of different organizations, one of which is a rural electric consortium. So they may have participated in a bid with that consortium. Warren RECC and NCTC together bid on all eligible areas throughout the Warren RECC territory. At the close of the auction, the collaboration of Warren RECC and NCTC won areas in East Warren County, across Grayson County, and some of Edmonson County. Now, if they won RDOF funds and Charter won RDOF funds, then they would not have won in the same locations. They were probably both bidding maybe in similar locations. So Charter may have bid in some unserved areas in Kentucky. They did, obviously. And then Warren in their areas in Kentucky. And they both could not win in the same area. But again, since they're, Charter may have some adjacent areas. So I don't know if this is the reason that maybe Warren is slow walking this, or maybe it's got nothing to do with this. I don't want to say that for sure, but I just found this interesting that they also won RDOF. It says here, we talked about the pilot program, 800 members in Southeast Warren County. Since then, the coverage area has expanded to include over 1,000 members. So they were continuing their pilot program and rolling out. And as they're doing that, Charter is probably trying to roll out broadband as quickly as possible as well. And maybe even in areas, they may be even asking about areas that are not RDOF funded. Because again, Charter's just going as quick as they can, even if they haven't been awarded RDOF funds yet. So they may be asking for pole attachments in areas where they've won RDOF funds, as well as adjacent areas where they didn't. That could be one of the reasons here. The assistance allows the two companies to expand their collaboration to additional areas of the Warren RECC service territory and add about 11,000 Warren members eligible to receive the high-speed service. Thanks to the RDOF funds, we're able to move more rapidly than we expected. So, yeah, that could be what is partially the reason that Warren is taking so long, and maybe Charter knows that, and that's why they're bringing that up specifically for them. But again, they say they're having issues in other areas as well. So it could be this is just an issue that's been ongoing. And I think it was in the infrastructure bill that there are some specific things that are talked about in there about pole attachments, and they have to be made, have to get rid of a lot of the red tape, those kinds of things. So things are getting better, and the FCC just issued that statement recently. But this is something that you need to be aware of if you are going to be rolling out broadband, and it's not an area where you control the utility poles, that you've got to get on the ball and get these things going, because there are still delays, even if they try to get the work done as quickly as possible, you're still going to have delays. And the other thing that could be delaying, I was thinking, the Warren thing is they're out there trying to do their own thing, right? So they're trying to get broadband going in cooperation with this NCTC telephone co-op all at the same time. So they're doing their work, and then Charter's coming in and asking them to do work. So even if it's not for competitive reasons, Warren is trying to do their own work and make ready work on the areas that they're going to be offering broadband. So that could be part of it. So again, get your, if you're going to be getting funds or just deploying broadband, make sure that you get those kinds of things that make ready work, those walkouts done as quickly as possible so that you can be ready to get the broadband deployed. In this case, Charter's trying to get all of this done beforehand, I'm sure, and even rolling out stuff, for example, in El Paso, Texas. So they were able to go, from start to finish in El Paso, Texas, and launch the service. But they're doing all this make-ready work so that when those funds become available, they can make use of that as quickly as possible. And with RDOF, you do have these milestones that you have to meet for broadband deployment. And if you're sitting there waiting for years on pole attachments, obviously that's going to be a problem. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. If you like this, if this was helpful for you as far as this news, give me a thumbs up on the YouTube there, and go ahead and click subscribe, click the little bell, and you'll be notified when I'm live. If you need assistance with walkouts, make ready work, feasibility studies, construction, engineering, and then services after the fact, as far as if you are, it's like, how are we going to do tech support if we get all these broadband subscribers? We can do all of that for you. So you see our website right there, our contact information. So again, if you're in that position where you need help, just give us a call or send us an email. Check out our website, and we will be happy to help you. Thanks for joining me today, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.